And how is everybody doing today? So, Sunday, 4:30. Well, at 4:57 in the afternoon. Anyway, thought it's been a while since I've been on here, so I figured I would come on here and wait for a few people to show up and just have some chat here. See what? Oh, there we are, American Girl, Sun Honey, Info Warrior. There's Leo, Brenda Jackson. How you doing? Let me a few more folks come in. All right, so today is Sunday, April 30th, and it's been a bit since I've been on. Know that some of you have been asking questions about how my procedures went, so on and so forth, and it's been kind of busy. Um, Took on a bit of a job that Mr. T and I went and did some work. So it's like, okay, we'll work all day, get home, and get back to the house and cook dinner and kind of vegetate. Um, my daughter and my grandson had moved out last week, so we've just been busy just trying to do things around the house and so on. But I did have my brain scan MRI, and that did come back with nothing major found, and so that's good. And we're just trying to find what was a potential cause of of my eardrums bulging out, and just a bunch of things. All of a sudden, having a hearing loss and doubling in the tinnitus volume and everything else. Was like, whoa, we better check. So, yeah, still don't know why, but at least we don't have anything in there that doesn't belong in there. So, anyway, so that's all good news. And so we're just working on a vertigo issue right now, and then on to the knee, my right knee. So we get that all fixed. But things are happening. Things are happening. I mean, look at what's happened with Tucker Carlson. They just flat fired him. It's like, okay, this is tells me that maybe Tucker is a little closer, a little too close for their comfort. And I think we got some big things coming from Tucker. You know, I stopped watching Fox News the night of the election when they called Arizona early. I was like, nope, that's it. I'm out. It's the same thing. After 23 years of having DirecTV, I didn't watch much of OANN on DirecTV, but the fact that they canceled OAN was enough for me to say bye bye after 23 years on their system. So we will find a way to get our news. We're getting more news out of Twitter and Newsmax than we are pretty much in Truth and Rumble than we are anything else at this point in time. Anyway, so so that's been a big thing, and yeah, Ron, that's exactly right. Tucker's been telling the truth about J6 and the travesty we're seeing there, and the injustice to American citizens and the breaking of their constitutional rights just because they were on the land of the lost, that 100 square miles known as Washington, D.C. So the land before time. Anyway, there appears to be some big things happening. You know, we're seeing a setup. I think we're seeing Ukraine 2.0, but it's going on in Taiwan. I think what we're seeing is truly the setup to WW3. Truly a setup for it. We already know that, you know, because of a guardsman putting out papers that we've been in a proxy war through the Ukraine with Russia. You're not hearing much of that in the news because that's against the narrative. No, they want to talk more about trans rights. I don't know what a trans right is. Do you? I thought they had just the same rights that I have. So why do these states, these woke states, why are they passing laws about protecting trans rights? It's like, is there a special Bill of Rights that I missed in civics? As far as I know, they've got the same damn rights I've got. Sounds to me like they've got choice. They make a choice. But it goes beyond that. It goes so deeply beyond that. It goes into a realm, a universe of we have to get in your face. And you're going to like it. And if you don't like it, then you're the problem. Not me. Less than 1% of the populace of the United States who biologically has an XY chromosome that thinks he's an XX chromosome. No. Oh, by the way, a message to Dylan Mulvaney. You are a man. Well, you are a male. Let's put it that way. Go ahead and try and arrest me. You know, just nut jobs. These guys are absolute nut jobs. And they are guys. They are grooming our children. And for the life of me, I still don't know exactly why we are seeing this happening all of a sudden. It really is an all of a sudden thing. I mean, it was something when you had RuPaul out there doing his thing and, you know, but look, there's places for that. There has been for decades and decades of people want to go to a gay bar and see a trans show. That's where it belongs. It doesn't belong in front of my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren. There's absolutely nothing that says that you've got to, as a trans, to get up in front of a 5-6-year-old child and shake your junk and call it your right. No, I call it child abuse. I call it grooming. I call it you have fantasies with your mental disorder that's going to wind you up somewhere other than a hospital. Let's put it that way. So, just the weirdness. Now, I don't know if that's just a distraction or if it is to try to normalize the whole pedophilia side of things so that when the shit hits the fan, it's like, yeah, no problem. There are a lot of people with big names that are pedophiles. They are pedophiles, period. So they're trying to normalize pedophilia, and maybe that's through this whole trans woke BS. I love it. Victor, candidate, was on MSNBC, I think it was, talking about, there's two genders, and the anchor was like, "Oh no, there's, the science says that it's fluid. Gender is fluid. No, it's a XX or a XY." And bring up a good point that the science they're quoting is social science, not biological science. So they don't know how to respond. So yeah, it's questionable. It's like, what's going on? What is going on? But I know that it's coming. Something's on the horizon. I can't put my finger on it. I think we need to be ready. And I think that what was that? Yeah. Look, my father passed away in 2016, and he had dementia, bad. And 2-3 months prior to his passing, he didn't even know who I was. And we took care of my dad, between myself and then my brother, for about 7 years. And I can say that he acted exactly like the resident is. I think that Ronnie Jackson is right. Absolutely, we should make it mandatory to have a cognitive test. I don't recognize him as the president. If you've been following me for very long, you know that I call him the resident. I don't call Air Force One Air Force One. I call it DS1, which is short for Dipshit One. Because we all know that funkiness happened back in 2020 and in 2022. We all know it. The question is, where does that take us in 2024? We can't just say we're going to give up and not vote, because that's what they want. No, I think what we need to do is we need to somehow flood the system to where they cannot possibly. I mean, we did a pretty good job in 2022, but they just blatantly threw it in our face. I mean, take a look at what happened in 2020 even. In 2020, I mean, what did we have? 143 million people registered to vote in the United States out of 335 million. Only 143 million people that were registered to vote. Well, I'm not that sharp at math, but if Donald Trump received 75 million of those votes, how many were left for the resident? Not 81 million. I don't know. That's if 100% vote. It still doesn't come to 81 million. But we're not supposed to see that, right? When facts are inconvenient. The math is inconvenient. The reports that we see are inconvenient. But you're an election denier. Well, okay, yes, you got me. I'm an election denier. That and $4 might get me a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I used to be able to say 10 cents at Sambo's, but they canceled that too. Hi, Judy. So, question is, what are we going to do about this? We put on our thinking caps. I don't know that there's any kind of protest that'll change anything, shy of having every single person in America all at the same time, which, hey, could happen on the 20th of May. There's a There's a big, big thing happening on 20th of May. I don't have the right directly in front of me, but where you get all the big wigs come together, almost like a WEF thing, but it's all the big, rich billionaire type folks that meet and kind of discuss what they're going to do with us mere peasants. And so there's lots of protests that are being drummed up around the states and around the world to say, you know what, we've had enough. Yep. So, yeah, the Brunson case is back on. It's back on the docket. Loy and his brothers are getting a lot of letters this time, early on, to send to the Utah judges as well as to the Supreme Court. So there's multiple lawsuits going on by the Brunsons. So that's something to keep track of. We've got to have, how do you set this damn stuff straight? I mean, it is so deep that you're almost better off finding the drain plug over there in that 100 square mile area and just pop it in and let it all just get sucked down the toilet. And start over, but knowing where the infiltration comes in and block it. Personally, I think that, it all started when you go back to 1912 and the sinking of the Titanic, and then 1913, we're going to create income tax. Well, it's unconstitutional, but yeah, go on with your bad self. It's temporary. It's got to pay for the World War. Yeah, anything governmental turns out that's temporary turns out to be permanent, if you know what I mean. Look at taxes is one. So, I mean, look at this. The Boston Tea Party occurs in 1775, and the revolution occurs over taxation without representation. And guess what? That was based on a 2% tax. But today, we go to work, and for every dollar that we make, we only get to keep 60 cents. And that's just at the federal level. 40 cents has to go to Uncle Sam because he's got to pay for World War I, right? And he's got to pay for Ukraine. Come on now. You got to pay those Ukrainians. After all, Tucker was fired because Tucker was bringing light to that kind of stuff to say, you know what, tail wag the dog remind you of something? Because that's exactly what's going on. Take this little skirmish and turn it into a great big event. And then get directly involved with taxpayer monies. That sounds to me like taxation without representation. Where's our spine? They didn't put up with it in 1775, but we certainly seem to have a great big tolerance, turn the other cheek attitude here. So much of it is so that I don't know that we can actually turn the ship before it hits the cliff. Before it just runs right straight into the rocks. God knows we've been trying, but we're just not getting the right buttons pushed. So prepare for the worst, hope for the best. That seems to be the deal. We have got, there's just no way somebody like myself, for instance, that has been having a few medical problems, and my shoulders finally getting to where I'm getting some movement in there, and some, get can't reach up very far, but going to physical therapy is helping a lot on that after the surgery. So, but then knee, it's like, geez, and how do you work? How do you collect the monies to be able to pay your rent? Power bill off the chart. Hell, it costs me to put gas in my 12-gallon tank. It's like $70. It's like, it's crazy stuff. And now, have you heard? Check the labels on your food, guys. Check the label on all your food. And look down at the bottom under the breakdown. If you see contains bioengineered food product, you probably don't want to buy that. And it's pretty much on everything except for the really large companies. It's like instead of buying Raisin Bran, I went and picked up Malto-Meal bagged pseudo Raisin Bran, and it doesn't contain any of the bioengineered food. But I was just sitting there, I was cleaning out the cabinet, and found these red vines that I had picked up at Costco. They were lost underneath the back for a while. And when I looked at them, it was bioengineered wheat. Made with bioengineered wheat. Now, mind you, I bought these things 4 years ago. And they got lost in the back of the pantry back in there. I was cleaning out the pantry and go, wow, look at this. Oh my goodness. I could straighten these out and get a crossbow. And Mr. T said, well, we can get a crossbow. We can turn those into darts. But it's in our food. Bioengineered food products. And it makes you wonder, all the times that we get up and we're kind of groggy, could it be our food? That they've been poisoning us for all these years now? Makes you think, that mRNA being injected into our food supply without our consent. So, again, how do we fix this? Well, we got to get rid of the Bill Gates problems. He's out there and getting all this garbage, this stuff put into the food. Spray down fruit, for instance. The fruit stays longer. The problem is when you cut it open, it's rotten inside, even though it looks like it's fresh. And it's been around for a while, and companies like McDonald's use it for their chicken nuggets. It's pink slime that they use with ground up meat parts and chicken parts to make their chicken nuggets, for instance. But it used to be thick. Now, whoop, 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 let's make it wafer thin and more batter, and but it's still garbage meat. And now butchers can't tell the difference of this one enzyme they use now to put the junk meat together and roll it up in saran wrap and put it in the refrigerator for 6 hours. Comes out looking like you just got a pork loin or a pork loin or a beef loin. And it's garbage meat that they're feeding us. So it is it is crazy. I'm just trying to catch up on some of the stuff here. It's possible. High fructose corn syrup. It's in the licorice vines. It's amazing. We've just got to start checking our food labels, man. It's like Crazy stuff. So it's almost like, okay, what we need to do is just go back to the old ways, cook our food, can our food, and put it aside. Because hey, I'd say do a freeze dried, but the problem is that machine is thousands of dollars, to get a freeze dryer. And with the power company charging you what they charge you, it's costing a lot more. So just go back to using the canning methods. There was once a day when you'd get a can of, a jar of mayonnaise or jam or something like that from the store, and when you were done with that jar, you would rinse it out, clean it, and you could actually put your ball lids and rings on and use it for canning. It was smart that way because now you don't have to go buy a bunch of canning glasses or jars. Mason jars, ball jars, Kerr. But we're going to have to do that. Maybe that's what we'll do over on patriotroster.com is we'll put in a section for canning. It's about time for me to do tomato sauce again. I'm down to just 2 quarts left of the last batch of tomato sauce that I did, which was about 4 months ago, 3 months ago. So, yeah, maybe 4 months ago. But getting 25 pounds of tomatoes and making your own tomato sauce. You know what's in it. Can it. Can it in pint jars. Can it in quart jars. So maybe that's something we'll consider doing over there on patriotroster.com. Yep. Drying your fruit, smoking meats, growing my own, I'll have to post right now because of the weird weather pattern that we've been having. My living room is the garden. There's no more coffee table because it's all consumed with vegetable plants all the way to the window. So it's like, okay, it's growing up to where we can't sit on the couch and watch TV, for instance. So, because here in Reno, Nevada, we've been experiencing this little bit of a heat wave. Well, now this interesting thing that Mr. T just said today, we're going to be in the 30s again this next week. All the way up until May 10th at night. It's like we just get a point to where we think we can get the plants put outside and the weather runs against us again. I mean, yeah, you look at the old adage, you start your vegetables after Mother's Day type deal, but here we used to be able to start in this time frame in April, but it's just been constantly cold since we got back on November 27th last year. And it's just something not right. But don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I've been in Reno a lot of years. And I can tell you I've never seen a winter like this last winter. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Mr. T is in the house. So I think we had Richard, we are building a greenhouse, but we just, we got the frame, just need to get a little bit more going to get the rock moved up there. We've got red rock, piles of red rock, lava rock to move up there. We just got the tractor running again. So, these are the things that we're going to be doing. And maybe I'll live stream some of that construction on when we put the greenhouse. Maybe we'll do that. But we got the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the bell peppers, the serranos and jalapenos and all that stuff coming together. So we're going to get, we're going to have to just prepare water, food, all the essentials, because I'm really thinking that unless we know for sure that we could have so many people you can't count in a protest, it would all be for naught. And we can keep our fingers crossed that the Supreme Court will finally do their job and look at the Brunson case. Because when you look at the way that the voting system is right now, it's completely illegitimate. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to vote. It just means that I'm aware of their shenanigans, and a lot of people are. We need to keep the fire under their feet. Get these George Soros buttholes out. That's what we need to do. He's ruining the country. Here's a man who's wanted in so many countries. He's not allowed in in many countries. We're allowing him to destroy ours. And, people like Hillary Clinton are even on record as saying, we need more people like George Soros in our world. No, we don't. And we need less of people like you, would be my response. So what else do we have? Yeah, I just saw an article on regrowing celery, on just cutting it off and using an old cupcake tin or something like that, and just put them in there and water them, and they'll root, and then you can regrow the celery stalks. That's pretty cool. Well, good for you on not having Dominion machines, but if they're not paper, it doesn't matter. I'm getting buzzed over here. Let's see. Let me take a peek and see. I'm seeing a great reset pin. Yep. See it on Macron, the guy from Britain, the guy from the WHO, or no, yeah, Bill Gates. They all wear this rainbow-colored pin now. Let's see what I'm getting here for notifications. So yeah, we've been talking about what it is that we should be doing right now. My admins and mods from the walk and from the convoy, which we're saying, what do we do next? And right now it seems to be hunker down. And once we've got our finger on the pulse of what the heck has got to be done next, then we get ready to go. That's why I created PatriotRoster.com, by the way. And PatriotRoster.com is set up so that, well, that ain't right. Let's go and fix that. Maybe that'll work. There we go. It's set up so that we can, let's see if this one, let's see if I'm logged in. Yeah, I'm not logged in yet. So we'll bring it back over here and I'll go ahead and log in. There we go. So that you can share information is where I was trying to go. There we go. So you can share information on Patriot Roster. You can do that in the forums. So once you go into patriotroster.com, you have 6 basic forum rooms that you can create topics in, and you can invite people in to discuss your topics. You can come up with some ideas and put them in there. Also, we're going to be expanding the You Ready apps, programs, how-tos. As part of the how-tos, you know, we'll have greenhouse, we'll have canning, we'll have that kind of stuff. You have the constitutional documents. You have any question whatsoever about our constitutional documents, you can go to an index section. Like if you want to know about Article 1, Section 8, for instance, and you go to Clause 15, for instance, well, you want to know about that. There it is. And 16. Okay. So, constitutional documents. I have a blog up there that you can read articles that I've put up. Our mission statement: to protect our U.S. sovereignty, restore our God-given freedoms and liberties, and defend our Constitution through education, demonstration, and peaceful assembly. And then some definitions below. And a video coming from me. Under the You Ready, it starts off, if you're not registered, you don't get that drop down. You get this page, but that's it. You don't get any of the other stuff. So you have to register. And because they're out there, and there's trolls out there, just like everything else, I have to make it a very stringent process to allow the registration to occur. You have to receive an email from me, from the system, and you have to respond to it, which means that if you didn't see the email, check your junk folder or your spam folder to see if it was marked as spam and reply to it. If you have any other problems and you don't seem to be able to get registered, then drop a line, drop a message to me. We'll take a look at it. Maybe at that point I can simply manually activate your account so that you can get in. I have had to make it such a tight security that keywords will trigger the system into denying your registration. When you get 300 or 400 idiots out there, spam bots coming in and trying to register willy-nilly, you got to do some things. But we are witnessing a time in the United States that is perilous in nature. Fuel prices, inflation, government overreach, and supply chain issues. The current government is the issue. We must be ready for the worst and hope for the best. We really need to make sure that we are prepared. You think you're going to be able to communicate with tin cans and string when the internet and the cell phone services go down? And that's a question I pose in here. Question: what do you do for communications when the internet and cell phone plans, some networks go down? Well, get a ham radio. Especially HF radio. Now I'm on Immersat satellite phones. It's an independent system, not connected to the internet. So Immersat customer can call another Immersat customer or text completely off grid. So that's another possibility. Okay. But if you get a ham radio, you kind of know, you have to know how to do the antenna. So I've put together a tutorial on just exactly what to do. It's only 1 page long. That's the entire tutorial. Using the frequencies that you're going to be transmitting on and cutting an antenna and how to put that antenna up. And oh, by the way, it's pretty simple. It's just wire. It's just single strand wire. Run it out. Okay. But it's all there. Well, what kind of radio, you say? Go in. Take a look. There's line of sight radios. The handhelds are only good line of sight, probably good for a mile. Mobile rigs, probably can get about 20 miles line of sight. But then there's high frequency radio, or HF. We talk around the world on ham radio on these bad boys. Now, the caveat is you're supposed to have a license to speak on any of these radios. But if we are in a state of emergency, all bets are off. Would you rather have the ability to communicate and tell somebody that you're having problems or know where to muster? Or worried about whether or not you have a license in your pocket? Think about it. So, there are some examples. Even a child can do it. And I explain all of that. And like I said, probably wind up doing on the how-tos. There's also the satellite systems I mentioned a little bit earlier. And the satellite systems, talking about Iridium. Okay, that's one. Inmarsat, which is what I use. It's an older system versus the multiple satellite systems, very much like Elon Musk's Starlink system. But I explained that too. So that is patriotroster.com. Get out there, register, put some, if you got a question, go over to the forums. Go to the forums page. Create a topic. See if somebody else that's out here can answer that. It doesn't have to be me. There's a lot of smart people out here. A lot of people that can answer those questions. Fry TV, what are you asking me here? Hang on. There we go. Okay, that was to the other Ron. Hey, so well, thank you very much, Kimberly. I appreciate that, sweetheart. Appreciate that. So, I think that's where I'm going to put my concerted efforts, is preparation. We're in deep kimchi here, guys. We're a country in distress. A lot of people on the left, they just don't see it, but they're being lied to. They're being lied to in a moment-to-moment basis by the mainstream media. And I just saw a few minutes before going on air a tweet that was mentioning that a CIA, the leader of the CIA, I don't even know the guy's name, was also one that was on the Lolita Express that went to Epstein Island. And that is the most protected document in the entire world right now is Jeffrey Epstein's list in D.C. Man, nobody leaks that. They can leak out a Supreme Court document, but they sure the hell can't leak out that black book. Nah. We get that black book out. Watch the pawns start falling. So, yeah, Roy Woods Jr. Wow, he just threw egg right in the face of everybody at the White House press corps dinner, talking about, man, you guys were real quick when Trump's documents were coming out. You know, it was pretty easy. They weren't at the White House, so that must mean that it's bad. But you weren't so quick when Biden's documents come up, and then you see the resident out there going, he just dissed you, jerk. Just like Mike Pompeo's there laughing his butt off of it. But yeah, that just came out. It's over on Twitter. So I don't know. It's hang on.
Shackles on, boss.
Okay. The dinner bell has rung. So Mr. T did a Dutch oven roast with carrots and potatoes and gravy. Going to be nice. Really good. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say that I will do my best to get on here more. We'll get some topics together on preparing and just we're in this together, so we need to start figuring out exactly what each of us can bring to the table, and how we move the needle. You know, we don't want to be, when the shit hits the fan, we don't want to be a whole bunch of small groups that can't communicate with each other or come together. So we need to start really, really thinking about that. PatriotRoster.com, folks. Register, and let's create a roster of patriots, so that we can put together a database and send out emails, for instance. Let's just do it. Yeah, sounds good, Fry. That sounds good. We'll have to do that. Yeah, I found a whole bunch more just to end up there. I've got probably 15 different pans now, cast iron pans. I mean, I've got my big my big one that I use a lot. And then I got I think that's a 15-inch or something like that. And I've got all the way down to an egg pan. Plus I got the 3-inch, 3-inch tall, 8-inch deep frying pan, I guess it's called, but I've used it as a Dutch oven as well. Anyway, cast iron's great. Cast iron's really good. You don't have to worry about any of that caustic crap breaking off into your food supply too. So cast iron's really good. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it and go out and get me some chow. We will be in touch with y'all, and we will keep an eye over there. Have you keep an eye over there on Patriot Roster, and we'll see if we can't get some stuff added to that menu. So love you all. God bless you, and God bless the United States.